Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Real Time, where we talk about the movies we like.
And the ones we don't.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Molly.
Today, we are going to be doing something a bit different from our usual top 5 movies of the previous year. We still have some movies that we'd like to watch from last year, so we're going to hold off on that for a little bit. But in honor of the Oscars happening soon, and hopefully on the day that this gets uploaded, if not the day before, after, whatever, you know what I mean. We're going to be talking about our top 5, in no particular order, favorite Best Picture winners of the past 97 Academy Awards.
Yep. We narrowed it down to 5. I don't know if you said 5 or not. But yeah. So I just went through and picked out ones that I liked the most and that I thought, deserved the win. So that's how I did that.
Yeah, so I'm doing this based off of chronological order when they came out. Is that how you're doing it too?
I think so. I think I put them in the right order.
Okay. Just judging by your list, yeah, just go from the bottom and go up.
Okay.
Now, the Best Picture Academy Award is what it says on the tin. It's the movie that the Academy of Motion Pictures considers to be the best motion picture of the previous year. And honestly, they have nominated and given the award to a lot of well-deserving movies and also Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. So these are our 5 favorites. So here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
Now, going by chronological order, my first pick will be 1976's winner, Rocky.
Hey, that's mine too.
Cool.
Yeah, look at that.
This will make editing a lot easier if we have a lot of the same picks.
Yeah. Hey, we might. I don't know.
Now, Rocky is the semi-biographical story of Rocky Balboa, a small-time boxer who gets a shot at the title when current heavyweight champion Apollo Creed decides to give a shot at the title for the nation's bicentennial. It's a story about an underdog who comes through to who really all he wants to do is prove himself and to show everyone that he's actually worth giving a chance to. And it's your classic underdog story about a man trying his best, and it does it really well.
Yeah, it does. I really like Rocky, and it was strong enough to create this huge franchise of, there's a lot of Rocky movies out there. But yeah, and I thought it deserved the Oscar that year for sure.
Yeah, it was nominated in a few acting categories, but it didn't win any. But, in all honesty, that happens. Sometimes the Oscars get it right, sometimes they don't. But I guess these are the times we think they did get it right. So,
Yes, with the movies anyway.
yeah.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, Rocky it's a classic now.
Yes, it is. It's gotten 5 sequels and a series of spin-off movies following the son of his original opponent, Apollo Creed, in the Creed movies. It's very it's very nice to see how long-lasting this original movie's legacy has turned out to be.
Yeah. It's a very strong movie, very powerful, and has made quite the impact.
Yes, it has. Now, I'm going to go to my next one. The winner for 1992, Unforgiven. Clint Eastwood's tale of an old gunslinger who gets pulled back into the fray for one more job as he is trying to make a living to take care of his kids after his wife died. It's very in keeping with Clint Eastwood's Dollars trilogy that he made in the 60s with Sergio Leone. Those were a deconstruction of the Hollywood westerns that that the U.S. was seeing at the time, and this in turn being a deconstruction of that. Like, what happens to the anti-hero after he rides off into the sunset with his ill-gotten gains? Well, turns out it doesn't work out too well for him even after his quote-unquote happily ever after.
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Well, as you can tell, I like it quite a lot, and it's also, well, it's a tale of quote-unquote redemption, as well as really the fact that sometimes the bad guy gets away, and sometimes he's not as bad as the people who are supposed to be protecting us.
Yeah. Very interesting, it seems.
Yeah. The now late Gene Hackman plays an amazing villain in this with his lawful evil antagonist Little Bill as he tries to protect his town, but also he's going to take some sick pleasure in beating up anyone who he feels like deserves it.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I guess I might have to watch it sometime.
Yeah, and for those who are into it, it also has bit of a feminist message too, in that the plot is kicked off by Clint Eastwood's character wanting to protect a sex worker who gets attacked by a cowboy who is mad that she laughs at his tiny wiener.
Yeah.
If that's not feminist, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. For sure.
But let's go with your next pick.
Well, my next pick, I went with Schindler's List.
Yeah, that's the next on mine too.
I didn't write down the year, so what year was it?
1993.
93. Schindler's List of 93. I mean, this one, it's pretty straightforward. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone expected it to win at the Oscars. Pretty obvious. But yet, it deserved it too.
Yeah, this was the fourth or fifth or sixth time that Spielberg had been up for this award, and he finally gets it with what I think is his best movie. It's not my favorite from his, but it's probably his best. Just the story of Oskar Schindler, seeing him turn from, well, to put it plainly, a Nazi to someone who's willing to put his ass on the line to protect the Jews from what he's been palling up next to throughout the war. It's really an engaging and an interesting story that really happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's another powerful movie. It leaves you thinking. It makes me cry every time I watch it. It's well deserving in all the praise and attention it got.
Yeah. When Spielberg made this movie, at the time, he was still very well known for his more crowd-pleasing and family-friendly movies like Jaws, Indiana Jones. That same year, he just did Jurassic Park. So he definitely had a bit of a... He had a different image when audiences went into this movie. But after that, they were willing to take him a lot more seriously, which, as we've seen from the past 30-plus years, Spielberg can do a whole lot, but that shouldn't have really been a surprise to anyone then or now.
Yeah, I mean, he just proved with all his blockbusters that he's very talented, but he proved with Schindler's List that he can also use his talents in a more dramatic way, too.
Which, to be fair to him, this was not the first time he had made a more serious picture, what with movies like Empire of the Sun or The Color Purple. He's definitely... but those seem more like prototypes for what he would do with Schindler's List. Those movies could get dark with their settings, that being World War II in a Japanese prisoner of war camp, or living with an abusive guardian. But Schindler's List was definitely something much more personal to Spielberg, given its Holocaust setting in Poland, in Krakow. So you could definitely tell that he put everything he had into it, and it showed.
Yeah, it definitely did.
All right, now what's... I'll go with my next one. 2003's Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
That was mine too.
Dude, are we gonna have any other ones that are different?
Well, I have at least one.
Okay. Anyways, so The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King was the first fantasy movie and possibly only fantasy movie to have won Best Picture, and it was the only sequel to have won with its previous with the previous movies in its series being nominated but didn't win.
Yeah.
Now, one could say that the Academy awarding Return of the King 11 out of 11 Academy Awards that year was sort of a awarding the whole trilogy. You could say that. You're probably right. I don't mind, though.
Yeah, I think you could say that for sure.
Which, even if you are going to make that argument, which again, I'm not going to argue, you can't say it wasn't well deserved. This movie had the tremendous job of wrapping up so many storylines, so many characters had to get satisfying endings, and just having to really wrap everything up in a neat and nice bow. It was a tremendous undertaking. And decades ago, people were saying that this trilogy couldn't have been filmed. They were wrong, or they might have been right for the time, but eventually it got done.
Yep. Technology progresses, and yeah, you can film Lord of the Rings.
And think about it. This movie is over 20 years old now, and it's still as gorgeous looking as the day it was shot. Which, as we've gone over in our video on the Lord of the Rings trilogy itself, they literally had to invent all sorts of new techniques for this movie. Motion capture got pushed to a whole nother degree of achievement with the character of Gollum. We wouldn't have had Caesar or King Kong or Thanos or any other sort of motion capture characters without this trilogy. And look, I have so much to say about this trilogy, so I'll let you take this for a bit.
It was just funny you were naming all the motion capture characters, and like 90% of them were Andy Serkis.
Well, 66%.
Okay, well, I'm not good at math.
I know.
Anyway, what am I doing?
Just talk about Return of the King so that I don't nerd out again, because I'm about to.
Yeah. I am a fan of Lord of the Rings. I do agree that the stories are, they're fantastic, and the movies are, I mean, what else can I say about them that you haven't already? I do like them. Now, if I'm going to be honest, this is also just me personally. It is hard to get through them sometimes because it's a little long, but they're worth it. They're worth that long trek, I think. And I don't like to sit still for too long. But still, I think it's worth the long journey. And then you go on this long journey with Frodo, and and it's wrapped up in this one movie. The trilogy's wrapped up nicely. So yeah, I mean, this movie, I think, easily deserved the Oscar.
Yes, it did. And people like to go on about the multiple endings that this movie got. Well, first of all, the book had more endings, so quit complaining. Second of all, it's necessary. This movie earns all these endings because they have so much to wrap up and so much to actually fit in here that, yeah, you have a lot to cover.
Yeah, this was like I said, very long story, so there's a lot to do.
All right. I've gone on ad nauseum about this movie and its trilogy for a while. You can check out our video about it, but I'm gonna get into my final pick, which is a movie that I recently saw for the first time in a long time, just a few days ago. 2007's No Country for Old Men.
Guess what? That's mine too,
bro. Good pick. I'm not complaining that. And honestly, this is going to make editing a bit easier for me, so that's good.
Yeah, I have at least one more. So, It'll be okay.
That's okay. Anyways, so No Country for Old Men is an adaptation of Cormac McCarthy's 2005 book of the same name, obviously. And it's a story of this guy, Llewellyn Moss, who finds a briefcase full of $2 million, and then he gets chased by an enforcer for the cartel, Anton Chigurh. This is basically him trying to survive, and Anton's attempt to get the money back and kill this guy. And at the same time, we have a sheriff who's just trying to grapple with this new world, a new type of criminal, really, that his father never had to deal with when he was sheriff, and just how he's dealing with all of it.
Yeah. It is really good, and I would say this one, it was between this one and Silence of the Lambs for me. I didn't know which one to put, but I did eventually go with this one to put on my list because even though I don't watch this movie so often, I picked it because of just everything works together so well. The writing, the performances, everything is just so good to make this movie the way it was. And I mean, I don't know too much about the Oscars, but to me, this movie isn't quite what the past Oscar winners have been. You know what I'm saying?
Elaborate.
It's a little bit more. Now, like I said, I don't know much,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, it seemed a little bit more almost like a horror movie in a way. It's so suspenseful. You get so maybe not horror, but it's
Suspense.
like a thriller. Yeah, a suspenseful thriller.
Mixed with some Western.
Yeah, so it's really nice to see something like that that was done so well, getting the recognition it deserves.
I agree. I'm currently reading the book, and just going, from page to page and comparing it with the movie, it is pretty much beat for beat. Like, this is adapted very well.
I bet. I'd like to read the book. Maybe when you're done, I'll borrow it from you.
If I let you.
You'll let me.
But yeah, I agree. It definitely has some horror trappings, some elements of that. Definitely with the character of Anton Chigurh, because quite frankly, he is absolutely terrifying. This guy is, he's unsettling. But it's a very good performance from Javier Bardem. He knocks this one out of the park, and he won a very well-deserved Oscar himself for it.
Yes, he sure did. He deserved that because he was scary.
This is another great movie from the Coen brothers, who have joined a very interesting and very exclusive club of people who have won 3 Oscars for a single movie. They join Peter Jackson for Return of the King, the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, James Cameron for Titanic, among others. So it's really interesting that and really nice to see that their achievement was so well awarded with this movie. It's great. I love the Coen brothers. I'm a big fan of their work. True Grit, The Big Lebowski, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, among other things. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Just some of my favorite directors of all time, bar none.
Yeah, I have not seen a Coen Brothers movie that I have not liked yet. So I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, they are just top 5 directors easily for me.
Yeah, I enjoy all their movies a lot.
So let's get into your last one. What is your last favorite Best Picture winner?
My last pick is a recent one, 2022.
Yeah.
All right, 2022's Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, there you go. I just mentioned that.
Yeah, they're all connected. Anyways, I really liked this movie. We watched it, obviously, and then so we were able to watch the Oscars, and I was rooting for this movie in basically every category, and I mean, it pretty much won almost every category, if I do recall. It won a lot.
Well, it did lose Best Supporting Actress to itself.
Oh, well then it won then too, you goober. My gosh. Anyways, yeah, so it won a lot. And I really enjoyed that because this was like recently. It was the movie that was my favorite movie of the year. And I don't think I've ever said that for an Oscar winner to be my favorite movie that I watched that year. But this one did it. And I was kind of surprised because it's a little weird and it's a little goofy sometimes. But
A little.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But still, it had a very strong message. And, it has a strong mother-daughter relationship going on with, also a husband-wife. And, it's a very nice movie. It has, very good themes. And it's fun, and it's a movie that I could pick up and watch probably any time.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very, very original, very imaginative movie. This wasn't my favorite movie of that year. My favorite of 2022 was Top Gun Maverick, but I was still rooting for this one to win Best Picture because we don't really see a whole lot of original movies that really get to make as big of a splash as Everything Everywhere All at Once did.